Hello there, Heartland leaders. Hope y'all are doing well today and enjoying the sunshine. I hope there's some sunshine in your area. Hey, welcome to Chapter 3 of Let Your Life Speak. That means Chapter 3 is halfway, and you're doing good. And welcome to getting past Chapter 2. I know that can sometimes be a really struggling and difficult chapter for some people to work their way through. Just keep in mind the language might not be what you're used to. And sometimes we have to learn how to navigate that to really not get trapped or not get entangled or even look at it as a hurdle that needs to be crossed. But just keep looking beyond and keep looking in and allowing the book to help navigate, to help us with the discovery of who am I? Who did God create me to be here on this earth? And a lot of times we allow those kinds of things to distract us and to disorient us. But keep moving forward, and by the grace of God, some great discoveries will happen in your life. I really enjoy Chapter 3. He really gets into sharing a lot of the process that he has gone through, telling his story and stories of what it was like for him. And I thought it was interesting too, the title, When Way Closes. And the word way, if we'll just kind of think about it, is actually a biblical term. Jesus is the way, and the early church was actually called the way. And so it's a something that really gets us to start thinking. Think about how often we're so used to talking to other evangelicals or other Pentecostals, and we're so used to getting wrapped in this language of these certain metaphors and certain phrases that when somebody brings something else along, we often kind of sometimes it makes our head go tilt, and we wonder, well, what's that all about? That's not even Christian sometimes. And it's not that it's not Christian, it's just that it's another way of expressing something that perhaps we would have used a different way of looking at. And so to me, that's one of the beauties of being challenged in continually learning, is to understand those kinds of things. It causes us to stop, to really think, to really meditate. And there's a lot of beauty in that. I've not yet met a person yet who wasn't interested in the deeper congruence between their inner and outer life, somehow bringing balance to what they're feeling and wrestling with on the inside with what they're doing on the outside. And that's huge for all of us, because what we're doing on the outside either is a reflection of what's going on the inside of us, or we're just listening to some of these voices that tell us that's what we should do. And once we start questioning that, then it raises all this stuff going on the inside of us. And but that's okay, that's good. We want to be able to do that. And I want you to know that you've got the freedom and the liberty to do as much wrestling as you need to do to get there. I also just want to say real quick while I'm thinking about it before I forget, I want to just say thank you. Thank you to all of you who were able to just, whether you sent me a text, replied on something in Facebook, an email, a card, LinkedIn, Google Plus, whatever format it was. But thank you for your care. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your condolences. I have gotten behind in a lot of stuff these last few weeks because of the passing away of my younger brother. He and I were very close, and it hit me really hard, even though it was something we knew was coming, but yet still, once it happened, it was just difficult. And so, I'm not saying I'm all the way out of the woods yet, but I'm not in as dark of a place as I was, a couple of weeks back. And so I just want to say thanks for your love, thanks for your care, thanks for your concern. It really, really is helpful. So thank you for that. And so my plan is not necessarily to try and get caught up in replying to all of your responses, but to probably at least move forward from this week on. And if time allows in the next little bit to go back and to reply to some of those, I will. but I'm not making any promises about that, okay? And I hope you're okay with that. If something in chapter 2 really bothered you, really caused you to question, you really want some clarification, you want to vent or whatever it might look like, please email me. That probably would be the best, okay? And then if we need to, from there we can set up a phone appointment. So anyway, thanks. I just wanted to share that with you before I forgot. So thanks. So here we are in chapter 3. Great chapter. Good stuff going on. Again, you know, as he's talking about finding your vocational pathway, the vocational he's using as a term that, you know, that's doing that which speaks to you. So in other words, it's fulfilling your passion, it's allowing your gifts and your talents and your passion to all be brought to one thing, and that pathway and following that directive. And that's where we find the calling of God in our life. And so that's why I say there's great opportunity. I've talked to so many that come to later years in their life and they have lots of regrets because they really just got stuck into doing something and they didn't know how to get out of it. And you know, I want to encourage you, it's never too late. It's never too late to get on the path that really brings life into your heart and to your soul. So here we are, and you know, he addresses what I refer to as the American dream, you know, being able to, hey, you know, everybody has a great opportunity to do whatever, you know, and you can do it, you know. Even he used the reference of being president of the United States. Well, how many of us know that would just be a miserable place for us to try and fulfill that office? Not that it wouldn't maybe be fun for a day, but to live it out, that's just not who we were created to be. And so that's not what we want. But we have this thing in our society that says, well, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And so we're often led to believe that, hey, you know what, you hit that brick wall, you just got to keep hitting it a little bit harder and sooner or later it'll fall down. Well, that's really not what that's all about. Sometimes we have to realize and recognize and take the time to step back and really contemplate, maybe I'm going the wrong direction. Maybe I'm trying to do something I just shouldn't be doing. And I really appreciate that, because there is just as much guidance in what does not and cannot happen in my life as there is in what can and does, and maybe more. You know, some call that the Janus effect. The Janus effect is, you know, that old Greek god or goddess or whatever that had the face in the front and the face in the back, and so could be looking forward and looking behind at the same time. Well, you know, don't worry, we're not getting into the Greek mythology and stuff, but just to help bring an understanding to that we can learn from looking back at what went on in our life just as much as we need to be looking forward and seeing what's going on in front of us. And he talks about the way closes. When the way closes behind, that means that there's a grand old landscape ahead. And there's something new that's in front of us that we need to be willing to look at. And so in the Janus effect, it's kind of like that. You know, and with our church planners, we use the focused living, the timeline. Being able to take a look at our life, through our life, and finding how through it all there's this thread that God's been working even before we recognized Him, even before we recognized His plan of salvation for our life or became a follower of Jesus, a believer in Him. He was working in us and working with us to help prepare us for who He created us to be and what He created us for and our purpose on this earth. And so we can see that as we look behind us. When I look back in my life, there was a time when I was, you know, the only reason I went to Bible college, I just wanted to learn more about the Bible. I had become a believer, and I just thought, you know, I really want to know what this is all about. I want to learn more. And so I went to Bible school. And while I was in Bible school, I took a job, nighttime job, as a phone salesman. Yeah, marketing, all that fun stuff. That was not for me. But you know what? I did learn from it, because I have this tendency to have this monotone voice. And the sales manager pulled me aside and said, let me help you. I'll train you for that. Well, that also helped me move as I moved forward in life and with what my vocation was to be as I went on and communicated with people. so that I didn't just keep having this same old monotone voice the same time. And how boring is that to listen to? So you get what I mean. So there was some good that came out of it, but that wasn't my vocation. That just wasn't what was meant for me. So I left that and ended up managing a restaurant called Rex's Boneless Chicken. So if you've ever lived in the Tulsa area, you know what Rex's Boneless Chicken is. And I became a night manager for them. And that really filled me. I mean, that really helped me get through. It didn't bother me to be going to school and to be working all at the same time, because I was continually being energized. I was being energized by learning, and I was being energized by allowing my gifts to be used. And so that was really helpful for me. And then later in life, I was working for a construction company, and I began to oversee the one of the crews that did the basements. We were building houses, so I was working for a construction company. We did all kinds of stuff, and I was an estimator, and then I kind of got narrowly focused in on the foundation. And you know what? That began to speak to me and really helped me. I didn't recognize it at the time. Hey, this is going to be great for ministry later on in life. But boy, as I look back, I saw how God used that for me because it helped speak to my calling and to my gifting. Because it's really something that's it's a strength of mine to be able to go in and lay, and kind of level things out and lay a foundation and then move on to do the next thing and then let the crews come behind and want to go and build the house. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's kind of like that apostolic thing in me. That's just, I'm good at going in and getting stuff started. And I can do that. If I stay too long, then I'm going to mess it up. And that's not good. So anyway, so as we go on through here, but there's one thing I want to focus on so I don't spend a lot of your time just talking and rambling and telling old stories that really aren't, we have to know what drives us. We have to know what